The Shooting Range. In this episode, Pages of History, the Elusive aircraft carrier, tips and tricks in air assault, and metal beasts, Patton 2 with an Italian flavor. Today in Metal Beasts, we'll tell you about the M47 10555 medium tank with a battle rating of 7.3. This is a modernized version of the Patton that received a new, more powerful Italian-made gun. Its caliber is 105mm, while the elevation angles are between -5 and +19 degrees. There are two machine guns as well, one coaxial, the other one on a pintle mount. The engine compartment is situated in the rear of the tank. No surprises in the crew placement. The driver sits in the front, the other three members in the turret. Since the biggest change introduced by the Italian engineers was the more powerful gun, it's still a classic medium tank. Sloped armor will make this machine deflect some APC-BC rounds, but you should still avoid getting hit anyway. Patton's mobility is a little above average. It won't be able to chase a light tank, but moving around quickly and getting to key areas will be simple enough. As for the gun, it deserves a story of its own. Its main type of rounds, the Heat FS, can penetrate 400mm of armor at any distance. This is enough to damage any enemy at BR 7.3 from the front, although the beyond armor effect might not be enough to destroy the target with the first round. That's when fast reload comes in handy. With an ace crew, it's less than 7 seconds. Just try to hit the enemy's gunner or gun breech to make them unable to shoot, otherwise your fast reload time won't help you. Basically, the M47 is a versatile, pretty well-balanced medium tank. At the beginning of the battle, choose one of the main directions and move together with a group of allies. Thanks to your Heat FS rounds, you don't have to waste time on finding a vulnerable area on the enemy. This makes it possible for you to rush out of cover, shoot at the enemy tank quickly, and make it back before they know what hit them. The biggest flaw of the M47 is its elevation angles. It's limited to only -5 degrees, which wouldn't be a surprise for a Soviet tank, but you'd expect more from a Patton. You'll find fighting in the hills hard, so try to find a more even surface before you join a battle. As soon as 2 months into the war, the Pacific situation became critical for the Allies. The agile Japanese Zeros basically eradicated all the US, British, and Dutch aviation above the Philippines and New Guinea. The Imperial Navy with its torpedo boats crushed the United Allies Navy, putting the survivors to flight. And by 1942, the very same torpedo boats were getting ready to attack Australia. Something had to be done about it, and urgently. So the raid on Rabaul that USS Lexington performed in February looked nothing less than a reckless, desperate attempt to burn those planes before they took off, to try and give Australia at least a couple of weeks. Unfortunately, the aircraft carrier group had to cross almost half of the ocean, and mid-cruise, they received some terrible news. On the 19th of February, the Japanese attacked Darwin and burned its ports to ashes. Moreover, on the next morning, the aircraft carrier and its escort was discovered by a patrol flying boat, the Mavis. The Wildcats promptly took off, chased it and shot it down, but not before it sent the coordinates of the group's course, while they were still 450 nautical miles away from Rabaul. The operation was doomed before it began. Raiding the Wasp nest with some carrier-based aircraft was out of the question. They had to turn back immediately to at least save the ships. Meanwhile, as soon as the Japanese command stationed at Rabaul learned the news, they thought they just had to sink their carrier. "We've spent all the torpedoes recently, and the new supplies haven't arrived yet? Fine, we'll give our bombers 250-kilogram HE bombs. What? You say that you're going to be really lucky to hit an aircraft carrier with it? Well, we can always send more planes." In fact, why not send all of them? By the way, they didn't even plan for any fighters to cover the bombers. Zeros could escort the Bettys throughout the whole night if they had additional fuel tanks, but there were none left. So in less than 2 hours, the whole 4th Air Flotilla, all their 17 aircraft crewed by the best Imperial Navy pilots, were up and flying. It was they who had sunk the battlecruisers HMS Repulse and HMS Prince of Wales recently, and numerous smaller ships. It was they who, just days ago, had turned Port Darwin into a single smoking ruin. And now they had some new prey, a whole aircraft carrier. The ship's radars quickly spotted and recognized the upcoming group target, so all 16 Wildcats took off in only a few minutes. The first group of Bettys managed to have a go at the carrier and even drop the bombs. But unsurprisingly, none of them hit the target. And then the beating started. Large caliber Brownings set the Japanese bombers' fuel tanks on fire with their first hits. The burning bombers even tried crashing into the American carrier, but the escorting destroyers were quick with their anti-aircraft guns. The second wave of bombers was met even before they got to the ships. The Wildcats shot most of them down in less than 5 minutes. By the way, that day, the U.S. Navy carrier-based aviation got its first ace in a day. Lieutenant Edward O'Hare managed to shoot down 5 bombers in 2 attacks. The USS Lexington and the destroyers hastily maneuvered east while their crews were trying to make out what had actually happened. None of them realized the operation actually was a great success. The very same elite bomber squadron said they hoped they had victory with their reckless raid on Rabaul when it ceased to exist. So what happened to Vice Admiral Inouye, the one who gave the command to attack the carrier? Tokyo was impressed with his bold move and made him the head of the Imperial Japanese Naval Academy after he left his position. He definitely had some experience to share with the new generation. Today we'll continue telling you about the cooperative game modes with some tips and tricks in playing the Air Assault Arcade. We'll start with the nicest part, the rewards. Much like in the Tank Assault, you have a chance to receive a universal backup, experience, and silver boosters. And of course, each battle gives you a chance to earn some research points and silver lions. Now, how do you do that? Your task is to protect your base found in the center of the map from 15 waves of AI-controlled bombers and attack aircraft. The first and the last waves are always bombers. Other waves are random. Moreover, you'll see 2 spawns of artillery throughout the operation, which will start firing at your base. There are various maps with various opponents available. Some as in-ground machines. The higher rank, the stronger the enemy. Although that doesn't mean that the lower ranks are much easier to play. Yes, top fighter jets meet stronger enemies, but they move around the map much faster than World War II piston engine aircraft, which means you can control the battlefield better. Now, how do you win this? First of all, you need teamwork. Winning while being in the middle of your team list will net you much more experience and silver than being the leader of a team that is lost. So the less your teammates try to be the lone hero, the higher your team's chances to get a better reward for everyone. Well, let's fly. First, try to attack your enemies in a way that gets as many targets in one go as possible. This is an arcade, so you don't have to spare your ammo. If you have some suspended armament on your plane, rockets will be useful. Set up the fuse before you join the battle and launch a whole bunch of them when you get close to the enemies. Both impressive and efficient. The waves usually spawn in opposite parts of the map, so once you handle one, you'd better head back and get ready for the next one. Second, if you spend too much time far away, sometimes it's worth leaving your vehicle by pressing J. You'll spend some silver, but get back in time to repel the next wave. Remember, if you win, you'll get much more silver than you spend on repairs. When the artillery spawns, it might be wise to rearm and take some suspended armament for the assault if your aircraft has it. And finally, the most important advice: find some teammates. Any good mode in War Thunder is much more interesting and efficient to play when you have a team. Air Assault is no exception. Well, now that we've given away all our tips and tricks, it's time to answer some of your questions. The first question was sent by a player called Soyuska Voskod. Why are some jet engines angled downwards, like in the Jaguar and the Phantom? Hi there. The main advantage of this solution is reducing takeoff run, which is crucial for carrier-based aircraft. Pablo Schroeder asks, what is the plane with the most number of bombs, not kilograms of bombs? Hi Pablo. The record belongs to the French F222.2 and the NC223.3. Each of these aircraft can take up to 52 50-kilogram bombs. Another question comes from Jonathan Daniel. Why do World War II tanks have 5 crew spread fairly well over the tank, but many post-war designs such as the Centurion and T-54 have 4 crew members that are way more compact? Hello, Jonathan. World War II showed that tank armor required significant improvement, and that could be achieved in many ways, including increased thickness and angle of the armor plates. Doing that, however, reduces the inner space of the machine, and the engineers wanted to reduce the size of the tank as much as possible. That's why most of the tanks made after the war are so cramped. Palmiforca writes, which MBT has the fastest reload? Hi there. The record for the fastest reload among the MBTs belongs to the Challenger and Type 90 with only 5 seconds. To achieve that speed on the British tank, you need an ace crew. The Japanese one, however, keeps the rate of fire constant thanks to the autoloader. And the last comment for today was written by Mr. M3 Bradley. How do you use the Bullpup ATGM on aircraft? Hi there. First, set up convenient keys by going to Controls, Aircraft, Weaponry, then checking Yaw axis for aimed weapons and Pitch axis for weapons aiming. Now you can head off to battle. Gain an altitude of 2 to 3 kilometers, find your target and launch the missile. Thanks to the aiming capabilities, the Bullpup can effectively destroy your enemies without getting inside the range of their AA. Once again, that's it for today's session. You've been watching The Shooting Range by Gaijin Entertainment, and the next episode will premiere the following Sunday at 4 p.m. GMT or noon Eastern Time. Hey guys, subscribe and click the bell if you don't want to miss our next videos, and you really don't want to miss them. Don't forget to leave a like, find a team to play with, share your thoughts and comments, and you got it, See you next week.